I cannot believe that we are already at not only the last full moon of 2019, but the last full moon of the decade. That is bonkers. Hey, Jenny, thanks for coming on. Hi, thanks for being here. So when I first set up this date, I was going through the calendar and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to do a Q&A the night of this pinnacle of this full moon. Just feels strange. And the more I kept feeling into it, the more I kept getting community, community, community. And the fact is that we are launching ourselves with this full moon. We are truly launching ourselves into 2020. I'm gonna just speak to this right now because it feels potent and it feels right. We are, oh, hey, thanks for coming. We're at the brink of 12/12 right now, tomorrow, right? December 12th, 12th month of the year, 12th day of the month, 12/12, which has 2 2s in it, and we're going into a year of 2 2s, 2020. And so this full moon is really helping us to prepare for that. It's helping us to release whatever needs to be released in order to move into this next stage of our lives, whether that be the next year, the next energy, the next numerology, the next leveling up of society. And I hate that phrase of leveling up, because healing is not like a staircase. It's go up and down, but it doesn't really matter, or the next decade, it doesn't really matter what it is. The point is that this full moon is here to help us to release what we need to in order to get to the next best place in our lives, to acknowledge where we come from, both in our own experiences and also in the experiences of our blood, right? There is so much, and I spoke to this earlier on Instagram today, or last night, there is so much heavy ancestral clearing energy. And it's like kind of heavy because it's ancestral, and ancestral is usually a heavy thing. But it's a big clearing energy of needing to clear out the things that we're holding on to that aren't even ours, that we don't even necessarily need to be carrying around. So anywho, that is pretty much where we're at energetically right now. And I just want to say thank you to everyone who's here right now, everyone who's going to join us throughout the hour, and also people who are wanting to join us for the replay, because what we are doing here really just hit me when I scheduled this for tonight. And it hits me every time, and I say something about it every time. But what we are doing is we are cultivating a community of people who are creating awareness by educating ourselves. And yes, I am including myself on that as well, because you guys challenge me, and sometimes there are things that I might know a sliver of an answer to, but then I go research it more, and you inspire me to go do that, or prompt me to go do that. And so we're coming on together, and it's been over a year now that Doorway to Self Q&As have been going on monthly, and I'm noticing a lot of people who come on every single month. And so truly, 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 we are creating a community here, where we're learning together, and we're therefore growing together, and therefore healing together, and therefore growing even more together. And so I just wanted to take a moment and highlight that, and come together in community for this live Q&A in December. And before we begin the actual Q&A portion, I just was so excited to join you guys tonight, and so excited about this full moon and this energy that I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to do a little card reading for you guys. So let me pull a deck out, and I'm really feeling it with the moon deck tonight. Pretty apropos. This comes from Aurora Ganesan and Andrea Kay. This is the little book. This is the box it comes in, which is really pretty. And here are the cards. You can get these online at themoondeck.com. By the way, they did not pay me to say this at all. I just always promote them because I freaking love them. I don't get any sort of kickbacks from this at all. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Oh, yay. I'm glad you're here too. Thank you for being here. Kelly, I see your question. I really want to get to that as soon as this happens. So, hey, Elise, thanks for being here. And thanks for being here, Kelly. All right. So from wherever you are, we're in community. Taking a deep breath in through the nose and letting it go through the mouth. Another deep breath in through the nose. Letting it go through the mouth. And one last deep breath in through the nose. And this time when you let it go through the mouth, setting out the intention that this card will be exactly what we all need to hear in order to move forward, to release, and also to come into abundance. Well, you guys did a good job because this card just fell out of the deck. Oh my gosh. Okay, literally this exact same thing happened to me last night and I about lost it. So this must be just... I celebrate my lineage and honor my ancestors. So again, I'll hold this up closer for you guys on Instagram so you can see it. And so again, as I was just speaking to, very apropos, this full moon has a lot to do with ancestry. Spirit said she got it. Yeah, totally. Totally. Yeah, and all I was speaking to before in terms of releasing ancestral baggage is super important, but also even more so, it's not only important for ourselves, so that we can move on, but it's also important for them so that they can move on. And then it's important for both of us in the aspect of we can then embrace each other, right? We can love each other more. So just kind of an example of that, and that might sound cheesy, but hopefully this example will shed a different light. So I come from Jewish background. I'm 75% Eastern European Jewish, and 25% basically Western Europe, UK, Netherlands, Germany, etc. So anywho, I absolutely despised the 75% Jewish part of me for a very long time. I did not want anything to do with it. I renounced Judaism as a whole. I tried to renounce it from my DNA. We're talking years ago. And it was not until probably about 2 or 3 years ago that I went through a very potent experience that showed me that this is still a part of you, and so you need to act like it. And so basically what I had to do was start picking apart the things that came from those sides of my family and those sides of my lineage that I disliked, that I did not gel with, that I was annoyed by, that I even hated. to a point. And I had to do shadow work around those and say, well, why? Why do I dislike that those are a part of me? Why do I dislike those reflections in myself? Why am I ashamed to come from this? Yada, 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 yada. And as I was able to level with each of those things, and one, release the baggage that no longer needed to be carried around, but two, also find the good aspects or heal those shadows, so that they were no longer shadows, but lights and joy, then they became parts of myself that I could embrace. And so that's kind of what I'm speaking to when I'm saying I celebrate my lineage and honor my ancestors. Part of that is, yes, getting rid of the baggage. Part of that is, yes, honoring them in their right, but also you are honoring them by accepting the parts that you don't necessarily want to carry on, that you are carrying on, and doing the shadow work around that, so that you can come to a point where either you go, okay, yeah, this literally isn't serving me and I need to get rid of it, or this could serve me in a different way or in a different aspect, or whatever it is. And then being able to embrace those parts and therefore heal those parts. So I hope that is helpful for you guys. I know I kind of went into like a little bit of a rant about that, but it's because I know it's been coming up for a lot of people lately. So I just wanted to speak to that for a moment. I am seeing lots of people who have joined. Hey, Orsica. Hey, Chelsea. Hi, Emily. Thank you for being here. Catherine, Beth. Hey, guys. Thanks for coming on. Happy full moon to everyone. Okay, so I'm seeing some comments. If you guys want, if you've never been here before, or even if you have and you need a refresher, basically the way that this Q&A works is that you can pop your questions in the comment box, whether you're on Facebook or Instagram at any point in time. I am on two screens, so you'll see me looking back and forth between the two. I will get to your question as soon as I am done answering the one previous, unless there's a question that pertains to that subject specifically, in which case we'll just kind of streamline into that. I found that that's kind of a better flow a little bit. So also, I said this last time, but Facebook sometimes for some reason does not give me your comments right away. So if I miss your question this time, I promise to get to you in January and answer it then. I do not have a January date set just yet because I've been busy working on the Doorway to Self 2020 astrological calendar and article that you guys love to see every single year. So that has been eating my time for the last week and continues to, but I will get a date up soon as that's published and done, which it's looking like probably Monday or Tuesday. We'll have that. Hey, Jimmy, thanks for being here. Okay, so Elise says, so that's the energy we're feeling that's not ours. Very possibly. So there are a few tiers to that. One is if you are an empath or clairsentient, you might be taking on other people's energy, and that could be the energy that you're feeling that's not yours. So for instance, if you are standing next to Jane Doe at the bookstore and she's feeling really sad, and then you walk away and suddenly you're feeling really sad, then you're feeling her stuff. That would not necessarily be ancestral, unless, and here's where it gets complicated, unless you guys share the same ancestry and being next to her taps into that. And suddenly you're feeling the sadness of your mutual great aunt / grandmother. So that's also a thing that could happen. And then also ancestral lineage and contact as well. So for instance, if your family and her family had conflict 1,200 years ago, then that could also be trickling down, and you can activate that by reconnecting. And so it could activate emotions that way as well. I know it just keeps getting more and more complex, doesn't it? So yes, those are all possibilities if you are an empath or even if you're not. Also, it is possible to be feeling entities, energies as well. But yes, if you are feeling something really strongly, like at your core, and it doesn't feel quite right, and it's also super hard to separate out, is this mine or is this not mine? Then it's very, very likely that that is an ancestral thing. Emily, I see your question and I would love to get to it soon. I want to answer Kelly's first because she asked first. So Kelly says, how do you explain energetic pulls towards someone? So actually that goes right in tandem, which is kind of funny. So yes, it could be any of the things I just stated, actually, any of those ancestral connections. It could also be karmic stuff. So if you are someone who believes in past lives, then it could be that you knew each other from another lifetime, you have some unfinished business, and so you feel a pull towards them because you want to wrap that shit up and throw it away. It could also be what we call soul fam. And if you've been hanging out in spiritual communities, you've likely heard that term. This is essentially a group of souls or a group of people who tends to be, and again, you'd have to believe in past lives to get this concept, but it's essentially a group of people who are reincarnated together in each lifetime or in many lifetimes. So if this person is soul family, then you might feel this direct, like, because you're basically, there's, you know, and it's even become a colloquial term, right? This cut from the same cloth, we were cut from the same cloth. And so there's this idea that, you know, when souls were created, so to speak, that there was like this cloth of souls, and the ones that were next to each other were cut, and so that's why you kind of mesh together, because you have the same threads and all that stuff. So it is also possible that that is the connection. There's also the twin flame connection, which I've spoken to on Q&As before, and you're welcome to go back and check out that information. I think that was actually your question from like, I don't know, June or something. But there's also that twin flame connection, which is extremely rare, but it's this idea that two people one person had evolved way too much to be on Earth anymore, and so in the next lifetime, the person's soul split into two and was reincarnated into two separate beings. And notice I say separate because it's not the Disney story of like, you have to come together to create the whole. It's that you have to be whole in yourself and they have to be whole in themselves. And then you come together and you create a third whole. But usually with twin flame dynamic, it's that neither one of you is completely whole just yet when you meet in the physical. And so when you meet, it's like this immediate, like, whoo, like we pull, like we've got to be together. Like, what is this? Because you are searching for this missing part of you, and when you feel that spark with them, you feel that pull to like, oh my gosh, this person can make me whole, which is not the case, at least not directly, but they will trigger the hell out of you to then eventually find your whole self after like the whole bunch of rigmarole. So there is that. And then lastly, of course, this is a topic that seems to come up almost every Q&A. So again, if you want to look back through past Q&As, you can do that on Facebook or YouTube if you YouTube Doorway to Self. And actually, all of those are neatly lined out with the timestamps, so you can see all of the questions that have been asked in the past, and just click directly on the time that it's asked if you're interested in it. But the other way you can feel a pull towards somebody is if you are feeling that someone has hooked you or courted you energetically. And again, I'm not gonna go full blown into that because I feel like I've talked about that a lot. So if you are interested in that more, you're welcome to go to YouTube and check it out. I hope that that was helpful for you, Kelly. We're coming up on Friday. This is from Emily. We're coming up on Friday the 13th. Why do people consider 13 an unlucky number, and why specifically Friday the 13th? I'll be honest, I don't know completely the history behind that. What I will tell you is that 13 has often been associated with witchcraft. Traditionally in what we call covens, right? There are groups of witches. There would be 13 women and or men in the circle. Also, there are 13 moons in the year. The number 13 is also associated with the death card in tarot in the major arcana as well. And so, of course, there's this association of like, ooh, death, scary. But really, the death card is one of my favorites because with death comes rebirth. It doesn't mean you're going to die and get hit by a car, or actually it'd be the opposite. If you got hit by a car after you were dead, that'd be a little weird. But anyways, you get what I'm saying. The point is you're not going to die if you pick that card. It's that you're killing off a part of you or an aspect of your life that's no longer serving you, so that something more in alignment can come in and filter through you and be born. As far as Friday goes, if you look at the etymology of the word Friday, it comes from Frigga's Day, which is Old English, and it means the day of Frigg or Frigga, otherwise known in Norse mythology as Freya. And Freya was the goddess of, or Frigga, is the goddess, however you want to say it, of essentially fire, war, death, sex, sensuality. So a lot of people consider her to kind of be the queen of the witches type thing in many ways. And so there's that as well. So kind of all of those associations together. But I do believe there are some old like Victorian, I believe it comes from Victorian times, this Friday the 13th superstition. I might be wrong about that, but I think that there's some cool mythology behind that, and you might want to check it out. I'm sure if you just Google it, it'll come up. Okay. Thanks, Emily. That was a fun question. And yeah, it is crazy. Hi, thanks for coming on. It is crazy that we have, like, literally right now we're in the middle of this 12/11 or 11/12, however you write the date, portal with the full moon energy starting, and then we're going into 12/12 with the full moon, and it's the last full moon of the year, last full moon of the month. Chiron's going direct. There's a Venus conjunct thing happening, and like all of this stuff. There are solar flares that I found out about today, which is like gonna wonk around with like everything. So there are just all of these shifts, and then we go into Friday the 13th, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is just nuts. I'm actually super excited. I got invited to record a podcast. I'm going to be hush hush about who it's with. But on Friday the 13th, I will be recording a podcast with someone who has asked me to be their guest on their podcast. So I don't know quite when that is coming out or anything like that, but it's something you can keep your eye open for. Okay, let's see. So what does it mean if someone has been very attracted to the name Freya? That name has always been in my radar. So one thing I would look into for sure is, where is your ancestry? Again, the theme of the evening. If you have Norse or Old English, or Anglo-Saxon, not Britannic, but Anglo-Saxon and not Celtic, Anglo-Saxon or Nordic lineage, definitely look into that, because if you do, it could also be an ancestral thing that's within you. Also, it could be that the energy of Freya is guiding you as well. I don't tend to get really into my own personal religious beliefs on all of these things, but I'm going to, just for the purpose of, I'm getting the sense that this might help some people. So I believe that all gods exist in general. So like the Christian God, the Jewish God, and I do believe they're two completely different energies because, well, and then all of the others, right? The Greek pantheon, Norse pantheon, etc., etc. I don't necessarily worship any of these deities. I just believe they exist. And the reason I believe that is because their energy, we're giving energy to them by acknowledging them, writing about them, singing about them, praying to them, making oracle cards about them, whatever it is, their energy exists. And so it's very possible that Freya's energy, just like for a lot of people, they connect to like Archangel Michael as a spirit guide or as a healer, or somebody who watches over them. It's possible that Freya energy could be that for you as well. So yeah, those are kind of the two things that I would look into. Yeah. And I can also probably find some more resources for you on that later as well. Thanks for asking that, Jenny. I appreciate it. All right, so let's go back to Facebook here. Okay, Elise says, oh, thank you. This ancestral card in your story of rejecting your Jewish background is actually quite relevant. I feel the same with having a Christian religious background among my ancestors. And that is a story that I hear all the time in my office. I cannot tell you how many times I've heard that over the last 3.5 years. Had a weird day yesterday where this woman who is doing missionary work was telling me her path of converting to Christianity, telling me that God has amazing plans for me while literally crying. Later that day, I found a scrap of paper on the ground with a Bible verse pretty much saying the same thing as she did. Sorry for this super long comment, LOL. Yeah, so I would definitely mark that as ancestral messaging coming through for you and saying, okay, it's time to take a look at this. You may hate it. You may be really, really wrapped up in your despising of it. But that all the more reason why it's time to unwind it. And especially if you've kind of removed yourself from the situation for at least a little bit of time. So, thanks for sharing that, Elise. I appreciate that. Hey, Karina, thanks for coming on. Let's see. All right. I'm actually feeling, I see you, Emily. I'm feeling like it's time for another card. And it fell again. And this one this always happens, guys, I'm serious. This one I'm feeling is specifically for what do we need to do in order to help integrate the energies that are happening right now and tomorrow to move smoothly into 2020. And the card is proper rest helps me feel and look my best. Ah, that's lovely. I love this card. There are a couple cards in here that are just so simple, and yet at the same time so powerful. Because this is something that we think about, but we don't think about it as like a spiritual message, right? Like, oh yeah, go get some sleep. That's so spiritual. But it is. Like it is. Our brains actually repair 80% of our synapses and neurons at night while we are sleeping. So it is something that is necessary. We also have these things called C1 proteins. I think it's C1 or CN1. It might be CN1 proteins that actually help us to get rid of synaptic connections in our brains that are no longer useful to us. So like, for instance, if you haven't been doing your times tables for like 10 years and you go to sleep, then boom, times tables connection cut, done. Thanks CN1 protein. Yeah, that's just a little tidbit. Anyways, my point is that this card is really, really important. I know it's the holiday season, and I do want to take a second to just wish all of you happy holidays. No matter what you're celebrating, I just wish you all the best going into this. And it is going to be a really powerful holiday season as well, because we have an eclipse on the 25th, 26th, moving into the new year as well. So again, there's this other transition. And it's not like a scary eclipse either. It's like a really beautiful, like opening downloads, light energy eclipse. It's just going to be awesome. But anyways, regardless, the point is, the more work you're doing, the more you need to rest. We are doing a ton of energetic work right now. And I wanted to speak to this tonight as well, because this came up in conversation with someone the other day, and I just felt like it was really good to address on the Q&A, is that this idea of like doing spirituality, right? Like, it's not always necessary to have a ritual or do a ceremony, or like, you know, we're such tangible creatures as human beings. Like, we feel like we constantly, and we're so ingrained in the masculine right now, you guys. Like, we feel like we constantly need to be doing something, and spirituality has evolved that way as well. Like, I think it's really funny for you know, people who have been in the divine feminine movement in the last decade or so. You know, they're like, oh yeah, we're going with our intuition and we're so feminine, but then they like need to manifest all the time, need to do ritual all the time, need to like take a salt bath all the time. And I'm guilty of that as well. I'm trying to work out of that right now. But this idea that the energy's there, like you can do something with it, sure. But also just like sitting and being and appreciating that the energy is there is doing something. You are allowing yourself to truly integrate, because that energy is not going to pop up for a while after, right? You're not going to notice like, oh, I've shifted and changed in the last 12 hours. And you might, you really might. You know, you might wake up tomorrow and go, holy crap, I feel like my whole body's buzzing all the way through. And that's entirely possible just by literally laying down and doing nothing and setting the intention that you are wanting to integrate this energy and allow it to come into you. I'm feeling some resistance from the other side of the computer. Who's resisting this information? Well, that's for you to work out. Hey, Quinny. I think that's how you say your name. Quinny? I don't know. Well, hi. I apologize for not knowing how to say your name. I appreciate you being here. Okay. Emily says, can you talk more about ancestral versus past lives? In what ways are these two intertwined, and in what ways are they different? Oh, yeah. Whew. All right. Good questions tonight, guys. I'm like, you're like flying them in. Normally it takes like 30 minutes, and then you guys are like, so I'm gonna ask this question, and you're all meek about it, and it's really cute, but you've been like prepped for this Q&A. Okay, I'm gonna answer this, and then I'm gonna answer one that I got over email as well. Oh, and that brings me to as well, if you're new to this Q&A and you don't want to comment live and you'd rather do it anonymously, you're welcome to send an email to doorwaytoself@gmail.com, or you can also private message me on Facebook or direct message me on Instagram. You're welcome to do any of those things, and I will answer your question anonymously within the next Q&A in January that I don't yet have a date set for. So that said, Emily. So, ancestral versus past lives. That is something I've been exploring for years, because it's really unclear. It's really, really, really unclear. It's so hard to distinguish between, is this a memory of my great times 6 grandmother's life, or is this a memory of a life that I personally lived, 500 years ago? Also, there's the possibility that it's both, which is just real fun and dandy. For instance, I know that I yeah, I'm my own ancestor. And I use that, I use that term all the time. Like, you are your own ancestor in this lifetime. But like, literally, I know that I'm related to myself from a past life. And maybe that sounds really woo-woo and out there, but I just invite you to sit with it. So so my answer for you is both and, in that case. Yeah, they're extremely intertwined, and they can be actually legitimately exactly the same. They can also be extremely different. Your direct lineage could have been living in, I don't know, uh, Asia, and well, we'll get more specific, in Japan and Turkey, okay, and that's where your two lines of ancestors. I'm keeping it really simple here because I know most people are like a gajillion types of mutt, but including myself. But so let's say one line came from Japan, one line came from Turkey, and they met up, and boom, 3 generations later, here you are. But at that same point in time that both of those lines were there, you had a past life in Ethiopia, okay? And they're completely unrelated, so that's also possible as well. So, yeah, I hope that helps. I know that wasn't like a supremely insightful answer, but it was something. All right, I'm pulling up this question from email. Quick question for you, Rachel. Do you ever see energy or energy fields optically? I want to challenge you guys before I answer this. You've already heard the word optically. What kind of clair is it? Write it in the comments. What kind of clair is this? What is this person asking about? Quick question for you, Rachel. Do you ever see energy or energy fields optically? I don't want to feel like I'm going crazy, but I've been seeing some odd waves lately, usually vertically going up and down. I'll blink and rub my eyes, and it sometimes goes away. Please tell me I'm not crazy. LOL, this is all new to me. So I say this all the time. You're not crazy. You're just psychic because you're human. And if you're human, you're psychic. That's just how this works. I'm going to give you guys to the count of 10 to put what clair this is in the comments. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. No one? Oh, there, they came in. I see. I told you Facebook has a lag. Yes, Emily and Elise, you are both correct. It is clairvoyance. Thanks for playing. Yay! Psychic education prevails. Love you guys. Hey, Trisha, thanks for hopping on. So yes, to this person, no, you are not crazy. And actually, since this was such a quick answer, I did just type this back to this person. No, you're not crazy. You're just clairvoyant. And they messaged me back and said, okay, because my wife was seeing the exact same thing that I was at the exact same time, and then went into like a whole thing about it. So when this person sent this to me, it was, oh, I can't look it up right now. Shoot. When this person sent this to me, I believe that it was actually right. Oh, it was a portal day. It was the 22nd. I remember this now. It was the 22nd. Hey, Emily, thanks for coming on. And so it was right after, and if you don't know what this is, you can check it out on my blog, doorwaytoself.com/blog. But it was right after the Ascension portal, Ascension staircase that I wrote about, the like slew of portal days that was just one after the other, because November is an 11 month, and 11 is a portal inherently in and of itself. Apparently I can't talk right now. Anywho, it was just after all of this. And there were all of these planetary shifts going on, and like all of this huge stuff and energy changing. And so I just laughed, and I was just like, oh yeah, okay. So you just experienced this, and it was out of nowhere, and your wife experienced it at the exact same time. And So really this person's question, his question was more after that, and this is what I wanted to answer tonight about, well, why? Like, why did it suddenly come on out of nowhere? I've never seen anything before in my life, and neither has my wife. And the deal is that, firstly, again, all of those energy shifts and changes, for those of us who are starting to become aware, and I know this person has been, they've been starting to do some learning and looking into things. This new awareness opens us up more to receiving new types of psychic information. So the more aware you become of the energy world, and the less afraid you become of it, and the less stigma you give to it, the more likely it is for your blocks to start coming down and your psychic senses to then be opened up more. And especially after huge energetic events like that ascension staircase deal. So there's that. And then I've spoken to this as well, this idea of psychic ability is fluid, right? So we're going to have different abilities that come in or leave depending on what we need, or how we need to perceive things at any given point in our life. So if you want to learn more about that, I have tons of articles on different psychic abilities on the blog. Again, dorytoself.com/blog. You can check those out. Ooh, Terry also said clairvoyant. Thank you. Yes, you are correct. My younger student self loves getting the right answer. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, folks. So I'm going to give a moment for one last question to come in. And then I'm going to pull one more card. And I had kind of said something in the email before this Q&A and on Instagram and on Facebook that I'm feeling like it's time to do some sound healing. I don't want to say for you guys, but with you guys, right? Because your energy is going to be interacting. This is just so, I want to do something with what's going on here to contradict, of course, what I just said about you don't always have to do something. But this is just too great an opportunity to pass up, honestly. So, okay. I'm not seeing anything else come in. Okay. Cool. Well, I'll go ahead and do this until it feels right to stop. And then if we have more time at that point, hey Maddie, thanks for being here. If we have time at that point, then I will take one more question. And if not, then I will bid you adieu until 2020. So again, deep breath in through the nose and letting it go through the mouth. Another deep breath in through the nose and letting it go through the mouth. One last deep breath in through the nose, and as you blow it out through the mouth, setting the intention, you guys are 3 steps ahead of me because there goes the card. Oh my gosh! Oh, wow. And people say this shit doesn't exist. That's all I'm going to say right now. That's all I am going to say. All right. So at this point, you can sit or lay comfortably. I want to thank you all again so much for being here and for sitting in joy and sitting in curiosity and sitting in community. If you are watching the screen during this, I'm going to warn you, my eyes roll back into the back of my head and it's really awkward to watch. So I would advise you not to look at the screen, but you are welcome to if you really want to. If you'd like to join in sound, you're welcome to do so from wherever you are as well. What I'll be doing is channeling what's called light language. This is literally the language of the light. If that sounds a little ambiguous to you, it's okay. You don't have to understand it. letting the sounds integrate into your body, into your being. Coming back to the room that you are in. Coming back to the chair or the ground on which you sit or lay. Coming back to your body. Taking a deep breath in through the nose and letting it go through the mouth. Another deep breath in through the nose and letting it go through the mouth. One last deep breath in through the nose, and as you let it go through the mouth, setting the intention that all that needs to be integrated at this moment will. Okay. We do have a few minutes left. So if there's anything about that you would like to process, you're welcome to pop it in the comment box. Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you. Terry says, cool. How did you learn how to do that? I find when you are touched by a place that was touched by a method of healing, it tends to integrate that method of healing into you. And likewise, working with another practitioner or a mentor, if they work with a specific modality of energy healing, it's likely that their knowledge will become accessible to you or integrated in your knowing, essentially, to tap into and access at some point. In my case, I was actually driving through the desert in Arizona and the land touched me, and it literally just took me over. I was sitting in my car and it just kind of came through. There was no stopping it. I had just enough time to hit record on my phone and record the whole thing. It felt like 2 minutes. It was 20. So you never know with these things. Thank you. That was sublime, and your session very informative. I'm so glad to hear that. I do not know your name, but I appreciate you, Freedom Facilitator. Thank you so much for being here. I'm glad that this was touching to you. And we do this every month as well, so I hope to see you again. Lee, oh, thanks for being here, Lee. I hope to see you again next month as well. So Elise says, felt my energy shift higher in an overwhelming sense that everything on earth is going to be okay. Yeah, I feel a lot of that energy for 2020, and especially as I've been writing this article, it's been a pretty overwhelming message to me that there's probably going to be a lot of chaos and destruction next year. I'm not going to lie, but also I'm getting a very blatant message that this is what needs to happen to resurrect us as humans more in alignment with the earth, and her being and her healing. So not overwhelming overall. Yeah. You're welcome. Yes, 2020 is a huge astrological year. You're absolutely correct about that, Karina. It's kind of blowing my mind. Not gonna lie, this it's numerologically huge as well. I'm not gonna lie, this and elementally, just in general, 2020 is just a really big year. This article I'm writing is already like 10 pages. I'm not even done with it. So there's that. I hope someone will read it. 10 pages. Oh my gosh. All right, well, we are about at time, and I want to close with one last card. And this card is going to be setting the intention for 2020 since we are talking about it. And look what happened. Guess this is our card. I allow stillness to heal and reveal. I allow stillness to heal and reveal. And 2020's energy is very much about building foundations, but having the vision to build those foundations. And in order to have that vision, we do need to get still and get quiet and go within and get centered and not do ritual, not do manifestation, but to just feel, right? And allow for that internal vision, that internal knowing, that intuition to rise up and get clear and say, this is it. This 4x4 goes here. This 2x2 goes here. Nails go here. Hammer goes here. It's a really weird hammer bang, but you get the idea. I feel like I get singing spells a lot. I'm so grateful you're out here sharing your gifts and knowledge. Every time I hear from you and work from you, I feel less isolated in my awakening. I love you. I love you too. And I love those words. Thank you so much, Elise. That means the world to me. And thank you. You will. Oh, good. Oh my gosh, I don't want to leave you guys, but Instagram's gonna kick me off here pretty shortly. So, if you haven't yet already, you can follow me on Facebook, Doorway to Self. Get on my email list. If you go to doorwaytoself.com, the little box will pop up. You can put your email in there. I send out monthly emails, including an article for the month to come with all of the energies going on. Next week, I'll be sending out an article about all of 2020 to come, which is crazy. And then actually starting in January, I'll be doing just what you guys have requested of me, which is to do some more kind of creative writing articles, some interviews, things like that. Again, keep your eyes open for a podcast I'll be guesting on. I'm not going to say who's yet, but it's going to be coming out soon. We're recording on Friday the 13th, which is really exciting. You can also follow me on Instagram at Doorway to Self. And you can follow a little bit of, I've been posting some of my personal journey as well at rachel.leah.gerson, rachel.leah.gerson. So I hope to see you guys on any or all of those platforms. I love you so, so dearly. And I do hope to see you next month. In order to get the date for next month, your best bet is to likely join my email list because I will send that to you. Much gratitude. See you next month, and I look forward to reading your 10 pages. Thanks from Sunshine Coast, Australia. Thank you. Yes, thanks to all of you. Happy full moon. Happy 12/12 almost or already. And happy almost 2020. I wish you luck and I send love.